Boom, we're on episode whatever it'll be now for Squeeze the Neck podcast, and I'm back with this sorry sack. Tom Jackman, third appearance. Top man for doing this, mate.
Pleasure, man. Always happy to be here.
And today we're jumping all over the shop, and we were reviewing a bit of the UFC.
Yep.
We've got ADCC coming up, the enemy of that, Craig Jones Invitational, with our personal mate in there. So
yeah, man.
We're going to get into all of it, mate. But where should we start? UFC? Should we have it?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like I said, I saw a few of the results. I didn't watch the main card. So what were the highlights?
Alex Pereira. Fuck me. I mean, the rest of it, not great. You can miss it. There was, it was Ian Gary versus MVP, which was more intriguing, more than
for sure
great fight. But I want to get into that because that was pretty cool, pretty interesting. We had the weird one with Brian Ortega dropping out.
That's right, yeah.
Which is kind of a non-event. So really, to be honest, there was a women's fight on there. So the only ones really of relevance that I think are worth going over is Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka 2 and Gary and MVP.
You were saying before that it was a bit of a mismatch in that main card headline fight.
Mate, he's so fucking good. People want to talk about his wrestling. He's throwing head kicks. So we ain't that worried about wrestling.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? If you're worried about wrestling, you ain't lifting your leg that high, are you?
Exactly.
I think fuck this, man. Let's get him to heavyweight. Let's get Aspinall. Let's get John Jones. Or I tell you what I would do personally. We're jumping straight in, but whatever.
Yeah.
I would go because the heavyweight's a bit tied up, isn't it? You've got Aspinall fighting Curtis Blades. You've got John Jones fighting Stipe down the road a bit. I would have them two fight. And if we're being honest, I think it's John Jones versus Aspinall is going to be at
probably, yeah.
So let's just say that comes through. You never know. But if them two come through together, have them two fight, and I'd have Pereira fight Ankalaev. People are going, oh, the wrestling. I would have him fight Ankalaev because I think he knocks him dead anyway. Yeah. And then push him to heavyweight, man.
Yeah, man,
let him
absolutely.
have it.
Do you think that with John Jones's rhythm of fighting, he would be satisfied with that? Because at the minute, obviously, he's been injured. But if he's going to do Stipe, I think in July.
No, we're July now, not July.
I can't remember.
I think it's November.
Okay, fair enough. So later in the year, he's going to fight Stipe. Do you think that Pereira is going to be satisfied with that, facing him in potentially a year's time? Yeah,
because I think if he's going to defend against Ankalaev, that'll probably be after November anyway. So he'll probably fight him sort of January time, and then International Fight Week next year, which is sort of a year from now. That's the big one. And let's be real here: if Alex Pereira and John Jones fight each other for the heavyweight belt like that, they're probably fighting for the greatest of all time. Because John Jones is the greatest of all time. And Pereira's fighting for his third fucking belt. Stop it.
Do you think that he's immediately awarded that GOAT status if he beats John Jones?
Yeah. Fuck
really?
Yeah.
Even with John Jones' CV, because that's
man.
the who's who, man.
Yeah,
over
man.
such a long period of time.
Yeah, if he beats him, he's knocked him out.
Oh, I don't know, mate.
What if he knocks him out?
Yeah, okay, maybe.
If he beats him, forget to knock him out. I mean, if he's going to beat him, you're going to knock him out. Anyway. But if it... Yeah, man, you beat John Jones. You're the guy. And also because it's him and he's a two-weight champion already, and that'll be his third belt. How'd you argue?
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you know what I mean? He won one loss early in his career, which I think essentially was a kickboxer, so it doesn't really matter. He lost to Izzy, but he beat Izzy as well, and I think his weight train has to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure.
If he fought Izzy at 205, I think he kills Izzy.
Yeah,
I think it's not even a fight.
Didn't he come down from... There's that picture of him getting on the scales after the weigh-in for his previous fight, where he's up at like 106 kilos.
Yeah, well, this one he was as well. This one he was 230, 232, I think he was. I think it's like 104, 105,
Massive. He's kicking people in the head.
And that's after he's cut the weight the day before. So if he's not doing that, he's got to be probably 240 anyway, fighting the heavyweight.
So you think he's walking around at about 110, 112 kilos?
Got to be, maybe? Got to be, isn't he? If he's getting in the ring at sort of 104 after weighing in at 93 the day before. Big boy. And he's like 6'5", whatever, isn't he? Like, he's a fucking... Yeah, I want to see him go to heavyweight.
Then physically, he's probably a good match at heavyweight for someone like Jones.
Yeah, proper.
Aspinall's a proper lump, though.
Proper lump. He's different level, but I think he can catch him, man.
Yeah.
I know people are going to go, Aspinall's going to take him down, and he might, but I think he might catch him too.
Yeah.
Because Aspinall's last fight, and I've said it on here before, so I'm repeating myself a bit, but when he fought Pavlovich, I know he completely dominated him, but for that, he did get cracked with a big shot.
True.
Get cracked with that big shot against Pereira. I don't think there's much more. I don't think there's much more to be said.
Yeah, fair enough.
But anyway, we'll talk about this fight. The head kick was unbelievable.
Yeah,
so what happened was he essentially knocked him out at the end of the first round.
Yeah.
With a hook, left hook, classic left hook, bang, flattened him, and the bell went. And Pereira didn't recover, came out, and I think it was 4 minutes 54 left on the clock. So right at the start of the round when he kicked him in the head.
Yeah.
And that was that.
That's it. Adios.
That was it, mate. He's magic. He's magic. He's in that lane now. Not personality, but to me, he's a bit like... Remember when Conor McGregor was like sparked Aldo, and he's got that kind of like voodoo shit, that magic going on. He's like that. He's like, so I think he's going to be very difficult to beat right now.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I mean, he doesn't have the personality to carry it well.
I think he's great though, because he don't speak English, he's got that plain face, and he's like, did you see what they said after in the press conference? It was brilliant. They said about Jamal Hill put a big long post out saying this happened, that happened, bitching and moaning, and he looked, and they translated it from obviously in Portuguese, and he picks up and he says something simple, and the translator says, okay. He's like, well, okay, so he's cool. I like him, man. I think he's great.
Don't need personality to win fights, do you?
It's a certain personality, isn't it? It's like
champion of the world.
That's it. Well,
anyway,
the champion of something.
So Ian Gary and
MVP.
Yeah, MVP. That's his UFC debut?
No, second fight. Okay, so he's won against Kevin Holland. MVP,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, big
but he's grappling so bad.
Yeah.
Like so bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, is Gary that good? I don't think so. He's. It was basically the way the fight went. I don't see how anyone could argue with it. And if you do, comment below. Gary won round 1.
Yeah.
MVP round 2. Gary round 3. Simple as that. No controversy. Sure. But it was close enough. But he, on his feet, MVP was like fucking dominating. Yeah, there was a piece right at the start of the second round. He comes out, he throws like 2 sort of light jabs and goes bang with a right hand and catches him.
Yeah.
And he's like dominating on the feet. But it was like every time he got grabbed, it was nothing there. Do you know what I mean? And it's weird because we've seen him do other grappling before. He's tapped people, he's done other things, right? But it was just this time was like so bad.
Right.
Could it be an injury? I don't know.
Maybe.
He's 37, you know.
How would you sort of equate it to like people in the gym? Are you talking like black belt, purple belt sort of stuff here, or like the disparity between the two of them?
Disparity is massive. As soon as even Gary got a hold of him, the round 1 finish with him on his back.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness to MVP, he survived the rear naked choke and kind of got out of it, so it wasn't such a threat on the back, but he couldn't get him off. But it just felt like every time he grabbed him, it was like nothing happening.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Doesn't
have an answer, didn't know what to do. But as I say, someone that kicks like that, he's 37. It could be a knee injury, so he can't turn a certain way. Who knows? But anyway, Gary dominated the fucking grappling. We'll see what goes on with him, but I don't think he's got the championship level. I don't think he'd be a champion.
He's our boy now for MMA.
I mean Gary as well. I don't think Gary's got that championship.
Really?
Level. No, I don't think so. I think there's people he can't beat. Like someone like Shimaev, I know he's gone up a division, but similar sort of build.
Yeah, right.
I think that's it.
He's a bit poorly at the minute, isn't he, Shimaev?
I think he keeps being, doesn't he? He had long COVID at one point. He was coughing up blood and all kinds of shit. Who knows what's going on over there?
Not ideal.
He's living in like somewhere with like a warlord, isn't he, or something now?
Is he?
Who's the guy? Who's the
No idea.
Oh God!
Absolutely no idea.
Like the Chechen leader guy. Who's the Chechen leader guy?
With just a sort of
exactly. I think he's out that way, and there's a bit of weird stuff going on.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll stop saying.
You don't say something bad about him, but yes, I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, it was an intriguing fight. It wasn't a massively exciting fight, but it was an intriguing fight. But I just feel like if MVP went to Dagestan and got into a wrestling thing for 6 months, it'd be very hard to beat because his striking looks slick, but it just wasn't there this time. But you never know what's going on with people. But seeing as this sorry sack didn't watch the UFC, we're going to leave it there.
Well, I was going to say, talking of grappling, like what a perfect opportunity to talk about a bit of controversy in the grappling world with the ADCC sort of heritage being threatened by the Craig Jones invitation.
And for anyone who doesn't know, so what's going on is ADCC happens every 2 years. It's the big prestigious like Olympics of no-gi grappling, essentially.
Yeah, that's right.
But they don't pay their athletes well. First place is 10 grand for a win. And what did we say it was? We've got it written down.
Yeah, it's 10 grand for the win to win a 16-man division, 5K for second, 3K for third, and then $1,000 for fourth.
And this is US, so in our money it's even less, right?
Yeah, like pennies and pence.
Exactly. So what Craig Jones has done, one of the top grapplers in the world, has come along and given $10,001,
which is a level of pettiness I can really get on board with.
I can appreciate that. Yeah. So he's gone for that just for entering. And then the winners get $1 million.
The winners get $1 million, which is the highest prize that's ever existed in grappling, internationally or otherwise.
Yep.
And like it's done enough to attract some really massive names over from ADCC, and some of them have given up their ADCC spots.
Yep.
Some of them didn't have ADCC spots to begin with, but like the brackets are absolutely mental. He's doing an under 80 kilo and an over 80 kilo bracket, and he's got 3 super fights in there. And I know that there's intention in the future to do. Like they've really missed out by doing those 2 brackets. They've obviously missed out on the little guys. So the under 66 and under 77 aren't really going to want to go up against someone who's potentially cutting down from 100 kilos.
Well, I mean, under 80 is close, isn't it? Under 80 is close to 77, so them guys has kind of they've basically just got a bit of an allowance on weight, haven't they? So they're all right. You're going to put out some big boys, but whatever.
But then,
and female too, right? They've got a female division. I think they've got a female over and under, haven't they?
Not in CJR.
They haven't. Okay,
but they've got. But I think Mo has added. Basically, there used to be 2 female divisions in ADCC.
Yeah,
it was basically under and over 60 kilos, whatever it is, and he's changed it now so that there is an under 55 kilo for women, an under 65 and an over 65. So, but he's had to make that change retrospectively after all of this.
Because Craig Jones said on Joe Rogan's podcast that Fionn Davis had jumped across.
That's right. Yeah, she's probably the biggest name.
But what's happening there? There's no women's division, so she's out.
No, she's out of ADCC as the current, defending ADCC champion, 2-time ADCC champion. Yeah. She's come across to do a super fight with Mackenzie Dern.
Right.
So Mackenzie won it, I think, in 2015.
Okay.
So those two are fighting on a super fight, which will be mega.
And she retired recently from UFC, I think, right?
Yes,
I think she retired in the ring. But anyway, she's fought in the UFC.
Yeah, man, for sure. So, but it's good that they're bringing like big MMA names over to do it. Luke Rockhold as well as
Luke Rockhold's in.
Yeah,
in the big boys.
He is indeed. Like, I've heard that he's an absolute monster on the mats. Like,
he competed against Nicky Rod, who's also in it.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
But he lost quite handily. A few years ago.
But I think that was at a time when people couldn't really work out Nicky Rod, and I think people were swaggering into fights with him, thinking, "I'm going to murk this blue belt," and then go, "Oh fuck, this blue belt is 105 kilo super athlete."
Yeah.
And no one has an answer for him.
Danaher said he's the biggest freak that he's ever seen.
Yeah, for sure. I think I listened to an interview with Gordon Ryan once saying that he would have him in like full locked out arm bars and he would just explode his way out of them. So for someone to of like Gordon's caliber to say like he's a freak athlete, then you kind of know where you're at with him. But there are loads of freak athletes these days. Like Nicky Rod was a bit of an anomaly, 4 or 5 years ago. And now they're 2 a penny. Like Gordon's just fought this Josh Saunders guy who's competing in ADCC at over 99 kilos, who is, he's just got his black belt in, I think it was like 3.5 years or something.
What's his background? Has he got a background before?
He used to play rugby league or something like big and physical. Like he's an absolute unit. He's a big lad, all natural.
What? Huh? Expand, please.
He's a very, very big guy. Let's just leave it at that.
Nah, bollocks. Carry on.
Massive dude. He's an absolutely massive dude.
You're saying he's juiced to the tits, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but I think, that's kind of half of the course.
What's his name?
Josh Saunders.
Say it to the camera, Josh Saunders. Tom Jackman said you're juiced to the tits. Yeah, and if he sees you, it's on sight.
I feel like Josh would probably admit that, to be honest with you.
Well, it's coming around. So we're fucking around, obviously. But Craig Jones said it on Rogan. He was very open, wasn't he? He couldn't have been more open about being a steroid.
Yeah, man. And he's openly talked about his stack as well. And, he's sponsored by a hormone replacement therapy company in Austin. So anyway, I don't think there's going to be any testing in CGI, that's for sure.
No.
So, like, they've really pulled through some massive names in the brackets. Like, the under 80 kilos, obviously, like Owen O'Flanagan's in there. Who's someone.
Just to stop you there, 80 kilos and over ain't that big, right? So, like, you could be a guy who's sort of your size. You couldn't make under 80 kilos, right?
You're joking me, man.
Could you make under 80 kilos?
Yeah, in like 2 years.
That's what I'm saying. So for you're too big for that.
Yeah,
you're not like you could come up against some geezer who's like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at, yeah. So like
that's it, and that's the point, and I think that's why he's lost out on some of those smaller competitors.
Yeah.
So everyone's gonna, with the exception of the big guys, everyone's gonna be sort of a similar build.
So our mate Owen, as we said, he bulked up to sort of 90-ish kilos, didn't he? He competed at ADCC at under 88 last year.
Yeah, precisely.
And now he's coming back down. He's going all the way to 80.
But I wanted to talk about the prize money, and I wanted to talk about Owen's run at ADCC. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he beat Shanji Hibero, like an absolute superstar of grappling, potentially past his prime. But when I think Owen sort of fired him for it, was it a Choi bar or something like that? And like, I mean, my neighbours probably called the police because I was going absolutely mental watching that on the telly. When he fought, then he beat Mason Fowler, and then fought Wagner Hoche for the 3rd place.
Ripped his foot off.
And Wagner ate a fucking belly down heel hook for $3,000.
Yeah.
So in sterling, that's what?
And a bronze medal.
$2,000 or something.
Yeah.
So for $2,000, would you let and at ADCC, like, I think that's interesting to talk about because he's let someone wreck his foot. He was in a wheelchair. I think someone saw him at the airport in a wheelchair afterwards, ripped his foot off for $3,000. What's the recovery on a spiral fracture or a proper break in your ankle? It's probably 10, 12 years.
And he's getting up in age as well.
Yeah, man. And he's I think he was probably in his 40s when he broke it.
Touching 40 around, yeah.
What is more important, do you think, then? You've got 1,500 quid sterling, 3,000, let's call it 2,000 sterling, 3,000 American. Probably getting that exchange rate brutally wrong, but who cares?
Roughly, the $3,000 for it.
Yeah, something like that. Versus getting a bronze medal at ADCC. Where does the prestige and money kind of sit in terms of like professional grappling?
Well, the reason I would lean towards going to CGI instead and making your money for a lot of reasons. So if you're someone like Wagner, who's 40 odd ish, like, go and make your money. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you've done it. You've been there. You've been at ADCCs. You've done what you're going to do. Go and make your money. The other side of that is someone like, or let's use Owen as an example, right? If he goes there and was to win that $1 million, that's life-changing. So that's the difference now between you having to, as an example, teach classes, teach fucking seminars, all the nonsense that goes with it, and going, I ain't got to do shit this year now. Exactly. Now I'm just a pro athlete, and then I can really attack it, and you can see where the land lies. So I think the money, you've got to go for the money at this point, with where the sport is.
Yeah, for sure. But then you listen to people like, I think I've mentioned this before, you listen to Ash Williams on Tom Halpin's Inside Position podcast, which is mega. And he's saying that there are no professional jiu-jitsu athletes except for potentially Gordon and maybe one or two others.
But he's a good example because he's staying at ADCC, because he's a multi-millionaire. So for him, he wants the prestige of ADCC.
But that's what Ash is saying, is that those professional grapplers, in inverted commas, are actually not professional grapplers because Roger Federer is not teaching tennis lessons. No. Like, he just trains tennis and competes.
Yep.
Whereas professional grapplers are teaching classes, potentially running schools, doing admin tasks in those times as well. So what hopefully CGI will do is create professional grapplers and create the space in the sport for professional grapplers. So they just train. I think that will kind of help to elevate it, and it won't give people like I know that Gordon has like this sort of he doesn't have an unfair advantage, but he has like he has just got the time to train. Like, he doesn't do anything else. He doesn't teach any classes. Like, he's just in there and he's committed to it 100% of the time. And I wonder what that will do to the potential 2 winners of CGI. If there's 2 millionaires created off the back of it, after tax, it's probably 500-600 grand, whatever it is. Like, you're right. They don't need to train. They don't need to teach for a year. They don't need to do anything, do seminars. They just need to concentrate on getting better. And does that then mean you then get 2 more professional athletes out of it? And then the next year, there'll potentially be 5 more professional
I think it's more than that, because I think you're right. But also, depending on where you live in tax, right? It's in Vegas, so the tax is minimal. So they're almost $1 million anyway. But if you're at a situation where you've won it and you've got the ability to go, no, I'm not doing that for a sponsor. I'm not doing this. I don't have to teach that.
Yeah.
I think the money goes up, right? So then you've got more earning potentials in other things. And also the prestige of it. So, like, you're going to get sponsors coming out your arse, I would imagine, off the back of it.
Exactly.
So I think it's more than that. I think most of the field that show well, quarterfinals and up, you're probably going to get full times here, there and everywhere anyway. And what that will do is make ADCC either play the fucking moral high ground card of like, oh, we're ADCC, we've got the prestige, we don't play that, or start paying more money.
Well, that's the thing. Craig has come out and said a couple of times that, bearing in mind that for ADCC, if you get, if you don't podium, with the exception of 4th place and $1,000, you get $0 for it. So there's people competing at that event who've potentially done a 10 or 12 week camp, who have flown to another country. I think you get a hotel. They might cover your flights, I don't know.
But it's ridiculous. It's amateur hour. It's like me and you put a jiu-jitsu tournament on up the road.
Man, exactly. Probably would pay for the flights.
Do you know what I'm saying? We'd probably give them some petrol.
So Theon was saying that they, when they give you a hotel, you've got to share a room. So you have to share a room with an athlete that you've never met before. Like, that is my worst fucking nightmare. Can you imagine that? Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah.
No. Someone's cutting their toenails on the bed or something.
Or waking up in the morning. You're busted for a week. Been in there for half hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck that. And no. You can't do it. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that was as recently as last year. So you've got the ADCC champion bunking with someone that she's never met before. Like that.
I'm assuming they gave her another woman.
Melts. Yeah, I expect so. I don't think it's co-ed.
I was going to say, yeah. But Yeah, that's mental. You can't have that.
It's crackers, mate, isn't it? So Craig has said on a couple of posts that ADCC are now paying like secret show money because so many athletes, so many massive names, like the notable ones, certainly from the under 80 kilos, probably the Rotolo brothers.
I'm surprised that too, size-wise, where they're at. They're both competing in the same. I'm surprised they ain't done like a rock, paper, scissors and you go up.
But they'll go, I think, yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And I think Cade, is competing at a heavier weight now.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but like, I expect part of that deal will be that they'll be on opposite sides of the brackets.
Yeah.
In there, potentially meet each other in the final.
Yeah.
And if I'm fighting my brother in the final, I'm going like, $500,000 each? Yeah, all right, no worries.
Yeah,
and then he fucking keep it all, but that's not the point.
Yeah, right.
But like, so you've got the two Rotolos, one of whom's an ADCC champion. You've got Mateus Diniz, who's an ADCC champion. Like, you've got some absolutely massive
Nicky Ryan in there as well, who's Gordon's brother.
Exactly. So like, I think they're gonna really produce like some really, really exciting matches, whatever happens.
It'll be fun, definitely be fun, wouldn't it? Because what they've also done is they've got their own scoring too. So they're scoring rounds and 10-8s and all this stuff.
Yeah. So and they're doing it in the karate combat sort of
angle. They're calling it the alley.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
So, I think it should be good. I think this could be the start of something different. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely agree.
Because it's got to be professional sport to grow, right? You got to have these guys. You can't have these guys teaching fucking seminars. Do you know what I mean? Unless they want to.
But like, don't you think that the sort of profile of the sport in general, like my brother and my friends who don't train, are sort of starting to see the promotional literature for the CJI versus ADCC. Like, ADCC's winners are not going to be on ESPN. They're not going to be on BBC News in the UK, for instance. Mm-hmm. But if someone wins $1 million, like, that's proper prize money, and that in itself has gravity.
You've got to raise the sport too, because the sport too. I was talking to a guy. Shout out Brendan, I don't know his surname. Some guy started talking to me in the gym the other day because I had cauliflower ear. Right? And he's, he said, "Oh, what do you do?" Blah blah. And I said,
"Rugby or fighting?"
Well, he said, what do you do?" Blah blah. And I said, "Jiu-jitsu." And he went, "Oh," he said, "I used to do karate." And when you go, that's cool, but nice, fucking like, you go, I used to play it with my friends as well. Do you know, like what? But he was like about 50, the fella.
Yeah, fair enough.
And he was kind of nice guy.
Of course.
Just didn't know, and I was nice to him. I didn't say anything, but he was kind of. Also, I think it was his son. His son did it, and he was like, my son, and he can do this. And you're just like, that's cool, man. But in your mind, you're going, leave me alone, mate. You fucking
right.
Like we're talking about karate, like it's Anyway, but
that's it. But that is changing. Like, with more celebrities that are sort of taking up the sport, you've got people like Tom Hardy who's sort of posting quite regularly.
Tiny Tempers doing some.
Yeah, exactly. Like, more celebrities that take it up, is it one of the Machado brothers has like a sort of discipline in Los Angeles somewhere where celebrities can come and train without sparring because what's his face? I can't remember. Ashton Kutcher is a brown belt under, I think it's Hegan Machado,
right? But
he doesn't spar.
He's not brown belt, then, is he?
Well, there's some footage of him rolling with Craig. I think maybe even in the gi. I can't remember. But it's like watching.
What do you mean you don't spar?
Yeah, so that's spar.
Well, then you're not doing it.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Look, Egan's got to pay those bills.
Is that a real thing? People are actually not sparring, and
yeah. And Giselle's just got her purple belt, hasn't she?
Yeah, but they're not sparring. I mean, for sure, comment below what you think about that. Maybe we'll reach out to Ashton Kutcher, see if you can roll with him, and see if we get like a death match.
Might even get a win out of this.
Do you know what I'm saying? You might fuck Ashton the Butcher.
I don't know.
What can we give him a nickname? I was thinking of a nickname on the fly.
The Butcher Kutcher.
The Butcher Kutcher. That's what I was trying to say. But he said brown belt doesn't spar. I can't have that. I could have a blue belt that doesn't spar.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's okay. You can kind of theory base it, and whatever. But you can't get past that to me, and you definitely can't be a brown belt who doesn't spar. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, man. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's just the way I look at it, right? Rightly or wrongly, tell me what you think. If I'm teaching a class and some big athletic guy who's never trained before shows up to the class and you can't put a move on, you can't get topside, whatever it is, whatever position, and show him how to choke someone and finish him and keep him subdued, then we become like karate.
Yeah, man, exactly.
Then it becomes like it doesn't work.
But that's I think the point that he's trying to make, and it's good for his school if someone like Ashton Kutcher or some some sort of high net worth celebrity remains in there, because it'll attract more people to the school. So his priority surely is keeping that person who's making him, never mind the money that he's paying him, if he's attracting, I don't know, pulling numbers out my ass, 20 students a month, that replace the 20 that leave, like...
Yeah, it's true. But if he's out there and he can't spar, and someone shows up and like who's...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It means nothing.
Yeah. I've never heard that before. Fucking no, I'm not sparring as a jiu-jitsu guy.
Sounds great, mate.
It sounds we're missing a trick here.
It's absolutely killing me.
My ears are pretty good. But yeah, that's a weird one. But anyways, we digress. Where was we?
Yeah, man. So like, I wanted to talk as well about some of the like, obviously Owen's gone over to CGI, which is like super exciting.
Yeah.
You know, it's always like it's good for us. Like, I don't know Owen very well at all, but I know that you've trained with him a bunch of times. Like, it was when he went to ADCC, it was like I felt so much more. It's probably the third one that I watched. I think I felt so much more connected to that tournament because he's in there and he's getting it done, and he did really well. And he's a dark horse of it. You know, in the trials and the run up, I think he tapped. Was it 5 people in a row or 7 people in a row, all with heel hooks?
Yeah.
So he won all the way through. Won his matches all the way through until what's his name? Giancarlo Bodoni got him in that. What was it? Aoki lock or some sort of foot lock in the...
Ripped his foot up. Nice.
But I think he was already injured from the Wagner fight. Yeah. So...
sorry, that's what I wanted to touch on too with the Wagner. You know, like you said about the thinking about he didn't tap for $3,000 or whatever it was. I bet if you asked, and I can't speak for him obviously, but I bet if you asked him before, would you let your foot break for $3,000? He'd probably been like, no, of course not. But when you're there and it's live and the lights are on and it's like, I ain't fucking tapping. Do you know what I mean? I didn't tap once in a silly, stupid fucking Naga in France. I was with Nicky, who was out there, and I got my foot in a straight foot lock, pop 4 times, pop, 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 pop. I didn't tap, carried on, and I lost on points anyway. Oh, no! You know what I'm saying? So you do silly shit when you're there. You're not thinking, right? But it is what it is, right? I think it's different when the lights come on. So he's got his fucked up foot, but he seems all right. He's competing again, isn't he?
Yeah, but back at it. But again, like he's probably got like world-class medical insurance,
chemists,
and a really, really good pharmacist on side as well.
He's Brazilian too, right? Because they don't take steroids,
and lives in Florida. So,
but they never take steroids.
Yeah, no, of course not. Clean athletes. He's just naturally gifted. But like, I understand what you're saying about the. It's not necessarily about the prestige. Maybe it's when you're in the moment.
Yeah.
When you're in CJI's finals, there's $1 million on the line. Like, no one is tapping.
No.
So everyone's getting bones.
Rip my dick off, yeah.
All through that, there's going to be dicks on the mat everywhere.
Whoa. You might be attracting the wrong audience to this.
But no one's tapping for that. Mm-hmm. So that you're going to see, I think you're going to see people being stretched off the mats in all the finals.
Oh, you think it's going to go nuts?
And potentially if there's like, I know there's proper show money for some of the super fights, which we'll come on to in a second.
I agree with you in theory, but I think guys are like that anyway, man. When you get to that level, I think you're in that mode. It's like, I ain't tapping. Do you know what I mean? Not that people do tap, but I think sometimes you get caught in things, and especially the example I used of like a footlock.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit like sometimes you go, I'm okay, I think I'm okay.
Right.
It's popped anyway, fuck it. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. It's a bit like, I think Craig Jones touched on that on Rogan. He was saying sometimes it's so quick it pops, and it's like, well, I'm fucked anyway. Yeah. Might as well carry on.
Did you see the footage of him at a charity seminar in Ukraine, in Odessa, in Ukraine?
No.
So he, I think he sort of made an agreement with someone that he would go back to Ukraine. He did that big charity seminar for people who train jiu-jitsu on the front line in Ukraine, and I think someone reached out to him after that and said, you know, we're in Odessa. It's this coastal town. It gets shelled by Russians every day. Please, can you come here and do the same? He agrees to it. Flies back to Ukraine, so he did that big stint on the front line where I think everyone was convinced he was going to fucking die every 15 minutes. Goes to Dubai, does some work, presumably to do with this, flies back to Ukraine, does this charity seminar, and like apparently like halfway, 2/3 of the way through on this charity seminar, people start interrupting the tuition to say, we want to roll. And there's a guy there kind of going, you know, like, everyone chill out, you know, the rolling's coming at the end. Anyway, eventually they persist. They interrupt the seminar, say they don't want to listen to the instructions anymore, and that they want to roll. And some like burly dude who's like, you know, the best in the class, in the article that I read, is like, you know, interrupting him and going, come on, it's time to roll. So he's like, okay, fair enough. Exploding ankle, like 15 seconds later, he's like eating a heel hook and breaking the guy's leg. Like, Which is so crazy, mate. Like,
and then what happens? Because you're in Ukraine and one of the locals is like, you just ripped his fucking leg off.
That's it. He carries on, and I think in the end he rolled with 7. He said he rolled with 7 guys. They send out the 7 black belts, the 7 best guys in the school who roll 100% with him, and then after presumably 35 minutes of hard sparring, he's like, "That's it, lads. I'm out. See you later.
Yeah, you got to look after
hospital. I'm off. See you in a bit." Crazy, man.
But that's what you got to do. I think you got to set the tone, right? You can't have that.
Man, exactly.
You can't have that at all.
But then imagine your number one guy, your instructor, whoever it is, rolls with the seminar instructor, foot explodes, and then you're the next guy.
Yeah.
And the next guy. Be ready to tap.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what you get for being a dick, though.
Yeah, exactly.
If you roll with someone like Craig Jones, he's not going to try and rip your fucking head off unless you take it to him, I would imagine. Man, exactly. Right? He's going to be cool, isn't he? He's going to go to your level.
Yeah, mate. Should be comforting for
you to fall asleep. You'll take a nap for 5 minutes. But yeah, you can't. I've never heard that before. That's mental.
Yeah, man, it's nuts. But anyway, I think he's making this. The tournament itself has the potential to have such enormous momentum moving forwards. Like the inaugural one or the inaugural one, because they spelt it wrong on the poster.
Did they really?
Originally? That's good. Amazing.
Very professional.
And they left it on there, which I respect.
Brilliant.
But the first one, I think, will be. I think a lot of people in the professional grappling world are potentially watching it to go like, is it going to work? Are they going to pay this $1 million? Mm-hmm. And they're going to try and do it every year. So I think that over the years, unless ADCC kind of changes its attitude and changes game, which is the whole point of CJI, you'll see that tournament with 5 brackets with proper funding from Abu Dhabi. You'll see, several super fights over 3 days, and it'll be massive. And if it's in Vegas in the Thomas and Mack, there'll be 13,000 people there, potentially more in the future, really driving the sport forward and really helping to professionalise it.
Well, to me, if you're going to be, and it's ADCC, for anyone who doesn't know, stands for Abu Dhabi Combat.
Exactly.
Right? So, Combat Club, right? Mm-hmm. So they've got money, is what I'm saying.
Proper money.
They've got proper money. So to me, ADCC is normally a weekend, isn't it? 2 days and all that kind of
Saturday,
stuff.
Sunday, yeah.
Right. So why not make it a week and have it like the Olympics? Where the guys get 1 match and they can, they also maybe 2 matches on the first day. Then maybe they get a couple of days off.
Yeah,
and you have different divisions going, and it's not such. And you pay them properly.
Yeah,
and the money goes up the further you get, and all that stuff. Like, it to me seems realistic, right?
Man.
Because this is Abu Dhabi Combat Club versus.
And the money's there to do it. Do you think the spectators would be there to do it though?
Yeah, I think so. People go to the Olympics, don't they?
Yeah, man.
Do you know what I mean? Listen,
a week off.
Go to Vegas if you're going to Vegas for the ADCC anyway, you're not going for 2 days anyway. You're going for a week, ain't you? Probably, or 4 days.
Week either side.
Do you know what I'm saying? You're setting up shop for a month. But do you know what I'm saying? You're going to go anyway, exactly. So you might as well go for a week and fucking chill out and see. And the reality is, if you had it you could have different tiers of tickets, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
run it like a Wimbledon tennis type thing, right? Where you're there all the time and you just mooch about, and you have like an athlete's village, and you got different tiers of tickets where you've got access to this, access to that.
Exactly.
The first day you've got 2 guys, one's from fucking the south of America and another guy's from Iceland. Don't really know where they are. You kind of put your head in. We'll have a walk around and chill. We'll get some food. We'll come back later. Whatever.
6-7 pints later, you're back in the fight.
There you go. But yeah, I think there's many things you can do with it. Do you know what I'm saying? You can make it more an event and make it more appealing, because there's more ways to make money if you're there for a week.
Precisely.
You're selling more. You're doing more, and you'd have other shit on, right? You could have it's Vegas, man. You could have some Cirque du Soleil people doing backflips in between.
Amazing.
You know what I mean?
Did also want to talk about the super fights at both tournaments briefly, because we touched on just before we started about what Gordon intends to do this year at ADCC, which has never been done before.
Well, what he done last time, sorry to cut you off, what he done last time had never been done before, and he's got one more this time.
Yeah, exactly. So he's intending on competing in the over 99, then he's going to fight Yuri Samoyes in the super fight as the winner of the absolute division last year, and then he's going to fight Felipe Pena just for a laugh apparently as well. So he's doing a division and 2 super fights. Yeah,
because Felipe Pena, for anyone who doesn't know, beat him, I think it was 2017, right?
I think they're 2-2 now.
Yeah. But more recently, Gordon's took over because Gordon's become him, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Gordon's become the guy.
Yeah.
And I don't see it going a different way this time, do you?
No, probably not.
If Gordon's right, because he's had stomach issues, he's had all kinds of madness.
Exactly. Well, I think, in his recent fight against Josh Saunders, I think he struggled with the physicality of Josh, because Josh is an absolute beast.
Yeah.
there's an interview of him like with his arms on the table at the pre or post fight press conference. I can't remember. And like his head just looks like a ping pong ball in this massive like just an ocean of like torso and meat.
Hey, bro, you're a little too into it for my
life. Steady, lad, steady. But it will be mega if he got it. But the real intrigue for me is over at the CGI super fights, because we talked about Theon and Mackenzie, which will be legit good, and I think Theon gets it, and that's good for her. Proper show money, proper prize money as well. Great for women's grappling, great for CGI. Like that's a proper headline super fight. You've got Mikey Musumeci in there as well. We don't know who his opponent is yet. It would be potentially good to see the rubber match with Gabrielle, but they fought quite recently at one championship and he got him with that calf crush. So don't know if we'll see that again. Maybe Fabricio Andre or some other massive name in there too. Of course, you've got the intergender championship between Craig and Gabby Garcia.
Yep. And they're both natural, apparently.
They're both natural athletes, very natural, absolutely natural athletes.
Do you reckon he's fucked her yet or what?
I don't think so. I think she's married.
Yeah, I know, but do you think he's fucked her yet or what?
Yeah, maybe.
Doesn't matter to the question.
But like,
she's married, is she?
Yeah.
What's her husband look like? Not that I don't mean that this way. I mean, is he like some big?
He's
like,
he's a normal dude.
Just a normal guy.
Yeah.
That's a special type of man.
I reckon he's probably. He must be sort of 30, 40 kilos like that.
Oh, right. It's a proper, like, because for anyone who doesn't know, look up Gabby Garcia. She's 6'4", 110 kilos.
Yeah.
Muscles coming out every week and muscles coming out.
She's a formidable opponent. Craig obviously thinks that he's going to make quite short work of it. But
he would. I mean, have you seen her she's lost to I think she lost to Mackenzie Dern, didn't she?
Yes, she did, yeah.
In jiu-jitsu. Mackenzie Dern is...
Maybe in the gi, though?
Yeah, I mean, Mackenzie Dern competes at 60 kilos in UFC.
Yeah, man, exactly.
61 kilos in UFC. Do you know what I mean? Like, probably half her weight, and that's not much of an exaggeration, if at all. So, how good is she?
Yeah, I know. But it's going to be entertaining one way or another.
Oh, of course, it's fun. Yeah. I mean, it's not my thing, this gimmicky shit, but
also, it shows how... Sometimes it shows how Craig just doesn't take anything seriously at all.
Well, I did a seminar. I think I said to you before, right? I went to Thailand in 2019.
Oh, right, yeah, maybe.
And he was it's not what you'd expect. I mean, the seminar was fine, good, but like he was very quiet and reserved. He was not very outgoing at all at the time. It was very much like, "Hi, we're doing this today. Do this one. Right, ready? Everyone get it? Go." Boom.
But don't you think that would be 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Like a lot has changed.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
In that 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think back then he was sort of a little bit more serious and a bit more sort of jiu-jitsu orientated.
Well, what I got from listening to him talk recently is he's made his money and he's just a bit like...
Exactly, he's just having a laugh.
I'm happy now, I'm good.
But he's just doing the travelling, he's just doing the... Like, I heard him on a podcast say that he would sort of lend the name to setting up B Team and lend his name to establishing it as a gym.
I heard that, yeah.
And then basically just fade into the ether and go and pursue the things that he really loves, like basically travelling and fucking about on Instagram, apparently. Yeah. So... yeah, man, like he's an interesting cat. Yeah, and he's doing great things for the sport.
Mate, I think this is massive. I think this could. I tell you what, I think is a big one as well. Is where they're going to do it every year, because ADCCs is every 2 years, and like in that year off where you got no competition at all, everyone's going to go there, surely, right?
Yeah, man.
Unless ADC are going to throw a fit and say like you can't come back. But wouldn't it be good next year if Gordon Ryan was involved?
Yeah, man, it'd be amazing. Wouldn't it be great if Gordon Ryan was the mysterious investor?
Ooh. Conspiracy theories now.
I mean, it's not. I don't think he's got $3 million to burn, but
I don't know, man.
Well, he's probably got. He's probably
on Rogan's podcast. We keep referencing Rogan's podcast, but they said that Gordon Ryan said is apparently making $12 million a year from his instructionals alone.
Okay.
So for years he's got $3 million to go. Yeah, go. Let's do this, right?
Yeah, but he's paying tax on that.
But that's just for his instructionals. That's not sponsors. That's not competing. That's not doing all the other shit he's doing. And it's allegedly. I don't know. But he's got money, I think, isn't he?
Fair enough. It would be great if that would be the absolute plot twist at the end. Yeah.
So he sends everyone away so he can win ADCC even easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think in that over 99 kilo division, like obviously there's some proper grapplers in there.
Yeah.
But there's no one really in there that's going to give him a hard time. Like it's the same setup as last time, really.
His hardest match is Penn, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, what's he going to do to Yuri? How much does he outweigh Yuri by?
Now a lot.
Yeah.
Like, because Gordon Ryan, and again, me and Nikki did a seminar in 2016 up in Birmingham with John Danaher, Gordon Ryan, Gary Tonin, and I think there was them. There was a couple of others that were floating about. They might have been in the seminar.
They were probably not.
Well, this was about
names. Then
they were just coming. It was just like they just. I think Gary Tonin had just done the EBIs and smashed it. And all that. But Gordon Ryan, the point I make, Gordon Ryan at the time was about 6 months before getting a chemist. So he was about however tall he is now, same height now.
Yeah.
But he was probably, I think he'd competed that weekend at 77 kilos. So he was like wafy, like young boy looking. Yeah. He was probably 22 years old.
And then must have been younger than that, mate. Must have been sort of 18, 19.
No, he would have been older than that. He was older than that. He was probably, he might have been 21, 22, but he wouldn't have been that young because I was, 26 at the time. And I'm now only 21, so I don't know how that works. I mean, time's a bit all over the place.
Weird maths,
but do you know what I mean? He was a man, but he was like feeble looking and kind of not feeble looking, but like, you know, compared to now, he looked skinny and just like a guy, unconfident type look about him. Right. And then 6 months later, he was 110 kilos, juiced to the tits. But it was. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a fun time.
A Brazilian girlfriend he's got, I think.
Is that what it is?
Might have helped out with a few.
Well, we're going to get cancelled here, aren't we?
Supplement suggestions,
You did this one, my friend, but, yeah, he's in ADCC this time. We haven't really spoken about the fights, but I can't see anyone beating him in that division.
No, probably not.
And 99 kilos, for anyone who doesn't cut weight and grapple and whatnot, is big, man, right?
Yeah.
To be cutting to 99 kilos is fucking...
And what's the body fat on someone like that?
Gordon Ryan, low, fuck knows. I don't know what I'm guessing
10, 12% or something like that. So
max,
yeah, exactly. So like it's over 99 kilos, so he's not cutting down to it. So he's probably coming in
him as an example. Well, I think Gordon Ryan probably won't be much over. I think Gordon Ryan will probably be around 105, if that. You know what I mean? But at a certain point, you're big enough anyway, right? Do you know what I mean? At a certain point, you're big enough. Like you've grappled with people that are bigger than you that aren't the same level, right?
Yeah.
And you can. Size ain't that much of an issue. Now he's on such another level to the competition. So for him, someone who's 20 kilos bigger, is it that big of a deal?
Saying that Gordon and I are not the same.
I mean, same but different, right? Like, you know, he's got more tattoos than you.
We're the same.
He's got more tats. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Our body fat percentages are really, really, I cannot stress this enough, very different.
There you go. Well, he might have a bit more testosterone flowing around his veins at all. Synthetic or otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's get into some of the fights, mate. Anything to watch out for?
I think that talking about the CGI especially, like the brackets haven't been released yet, but obviously, like excited to see Owen fight, excited to see Mateus Diniz, the former ADCC champion, fight. The Ruotolo brothers are going to be mega, and they announced the Majid Hage most recently. So excited to see him. We've got Owen Livesey from the UK as well, fighting in over 80 kilos.
Beast.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And then you've got like some massive, like really recognisable names in Mason Fowler, Felipe Andrew, Will Tackett, Roberto Jimenez.
Pat Downey's
in there as well.
That's right. I didn't realise that. That's a mad one.
But they've got Jason Knopf and Pat Downey in there, and I think they're doing that for Wrestling Eyes.
Yep.
They've got Luke Rockhold and Mackenzie Dern in there for MMA Eyes. Mm-hmm. They're using that kind of, like, it all feels quite tactical and quite intelligent, the way that they're sort of drawing these people together. There are a couple of people in those brackets that, like, I don't think have very big profiles. So I wonder if they're starting to sort of scrape the barrel with these sort of later.
Well, I wonder if they're doing so there's some real mismatches also.
Yeah.
So someone gets absolutely ragdolled and tapped early, and the crowd goes nuts. And
yeah, that's a really good point. Like, you know when you watch a Who's Number One card and it's just decision after decision after decision.
Especially when you're trying to get eyes on it. Like if me and you brought our dads along that don't know anything about grappling.
Precisely.
Do you know what I'm saying? And there was two guys rolling on the floor. They could be the best in the world, but they're going, this is shit.
I don't get it.
Do you know what I'm saying? So they want to see someone get suplexed and fucking strangled.
Exactly, mate. And like talking about Felipe Andrew, he fought on a tournament called Subversive, which has sort of changed format a little bit now. But the original one somewhere in America was basically you had maybe it was an over 80, an under 80, and a female grappler. And so in a team of three, you fought. The over 80s fought, the under 80s fought, and the females fought. And then whoever, won all three matches or two of three matches, whatever, that team progressed. And it was awesome. You got loads of mismatches and loads of subs. But Felipe Andrew came out as the over 80 competitor. And the team had sent like a 3-stripe blue belt as their over 80 competitor because someone had dropped out.
So Felipe
Andrew, who at the time I think was the world champion, the gi, fought a 2-stripe blue belt. Hello. At over 80 kilos. It was just...
What was the thinking in that? Because I think someone
dropped out that day and they were like, obviously, someone had dropped out, and they were like, "We need someone over 80 kilos to go into that team." And some poor
Tony, get in there.
Gone, I'll do it. I've got my gear in my bag, and they're going, "You're in."
And how did that go?
It goes exactly as you'd expect.
But was he nice to him, or was he?
But he was actually like,
he didn't bounce his head off the floor.
Oh my god, this is going to be awful. But actually, it was kind of like, just a bit of a takedown. I think maybe a knee bar or something like, just really sort of simple and like,
because he could have grabbed him and slammed him for the fucking mat.
Exactly, hit him with the planet. So yeah, man, I'm excited about that. Obviously, Victor Hugo's over as well. He's had a lot of very high profile fights recently too. And then Nick Rodriguez from the B team, like
some big cats in there.
It does feel like when they were sort of first announcing it, you had Joseph Chen, Nicky Ryan, and Nick Rodriguez all from the B team coming over. Right, it's like this is just a way of like pumping that team with money. But as more athletes have been introduced, like it does kind of dilute down a little bit, and it becomes a little bit more. Has a bit more integrity as a promotion rather than just trying to give your mates $1 million, which, let's face it, we would all probably do.
Nah, bollocks. Like a working McDonald's while I sit in the castle at the top of the hill. But let's get into some of this, like our boy Owen, right? Obviously, you said I trained with I last time I actually been on a mat with him, it was probably pre-pandemic.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But he was actually at my first jiu-jitsu class at new school ever.
Really?
And it was funny because I turned up, white belt on, and there was this geezer in there with like a blue belt on who was like, I think he was probably 18 at the time.
Yeah, sure.
He's about 5-6 years younger than me. So he turned up and he was like a kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I showed up and I was like, blah, blah. And I said to him, how far are you off a purple? Like, how long have you been training? How far are you off a purple belt? Because I think, no, right, I'm white belt. And he said, I don't want a purple belt yet because the competitions are a bit harder. And now fast forward, he's one of the best in the world at black belt. You know what I'm saying? So it was a funny story. But what do you think about him here, mate?
I think he could win it, mate. Oof. And that's
big shout.
But I really think he could. Like, he's demonstrated repeatedly in like the ADCC Opens and the trials that he's got what it takes. Mm-hmm. I think he beat Wagner in like fundamentally. Like, if it's a question of get up and walk off the mats afterwards, he beat Wagner in ADCC 2020.
21, I think.
Well, yeah,
whenever it was 21, but it was like
exactly. So, but it was held in 22. Yeah. Like, you see him going up against like there are some big problems in that division for him. Let's face it. But even with my limited knowledge of no-gi grappling, I think he can do it. And if he can't, I really fucking hope he can.
Wouldn't that be amazing? He comes back a millionaire.
It would be.
How many texts do you reckon he gets today? He gets home if he wins that. Hi, Owen. How's it going, mate?
Man, exactly. Yeah. Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Long time no see.
My car broke down the other day.
You know what I'm saying?
Need a new roof on my house.
Yeah.
Everything's going okay.
I think under 80 kilos. I think is great for him too.
Yeah.
Because naturally, he bulked up purposely to go up in divisions. So naturally, like, it's a big cut for him now because he's a big boy now, but he's built that way and he's lean as shit. If you were following Instagram, he's jacked out, right? Man. So if he was cutting to 80, he's going to be big, man. He's going to be a good weight.
I listened to him on the Charles Owen Experience, which is like, a great podcast if you're into jiu-jitsu.
Shout out Charles Owen, friends of ours, both of them.
Great podcast if you're into jiu-jitsu and just sort of health and well-being as well. Like, there's some great stuff in there for lots of disciplines, not just jiu-jitsu. And I think he said he was sort of around about 86 at the moment. So, like, that's a comfortable cut down to under 80. I don't know what the weigh-ins are like. It's probably day of, maybe.
I wonder if they got a re-day in. Re-day in. I mean, every day re-weigh in again.
Yeah, good question. I don't know the answer.
That's always a motherfucker. Like, when I was before boxing tournaments, something called the Haringey Cup for anyone who's into amateur boxing. Yeah. And you had to weigh in every day, and that's a fucker, man. Like, that's like, if you're struggling on weight, you've got to fight and then weigh in again the next day. That's horrible. That's not fun. It's a bit different because you're getting punched in the head. And
sure.
From my experience of being around grapplers, they definitely don't cut as much as strikers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like strikers will do madness. Like, when boxing's just starving and not drinking water and fucking killing yourself. And then you're getting punched in the head, so it's double. But for me, and I've just said this on here a million times, it doesn't make sense going crazy on cutting weight for grappling.
Yeah, man, exactly.
It doesn't make sense. This is a little bit of an exception because it's 80 kilos or over, so it makes more sense. And $1 million. But in terms of like feeling good, I'd rather feel good and go against someone bigger versus be depleted and all that stuff. Anyway, different story entirely. But Owen's going to win it, is he?
If there's a way of betting on it, I'm going to put some money on it.
Very good.
At all. But like,
there's these things called betting shops, man.
Oh, you can't go to William Hill and go, I want to put 500 quid.
Sure, of course you can. You might get great odds because they don't know. Okay, this guy's out of his fucking mind.
I'm gonna have a flutter on him because I think he can do it.
Right.
And Yeah.
Owen's going to win CGI. You heard it first.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Up the Owen O'Flanagan train. We're biased, but Owen O'Flanagan is our pick for the under 80 kilo.
No, for sure. And then as far as over 80 is concerned, like, I mean, there's some big lads in there, mate. I feel like Nicky Rod plays a good game. Like, I don't really know how the scoring system is going to favour people. I think it's good that the new scoring system is in there, because certainly with the big boys, sometimes it gets a bit sort of shovey on the feet. So I'm interested to see how. So
for me, all day long, Nicky Rodriguez smashes this division. I don't think it'd be that close either. I think he runs through the field, and also size-wise, he's a proper big man. Now, what we said about Owen Livesey, tremendous grappler, but stature-wise, he's not that big. Right?
Yeah, right.
I think from what I've never met him, I don't know, I've never seen him, but from what I've heard from people that have been on the match with him, he's about 5'8". Right. So this is like a. And if you're taller, apologies, mate, he might be 6'2", and he's like, shut the fuck up. But he's a short, like a smaller man, very powerfully built, and he was a gold medalist at the Commonwealth Games for judo, like serious clapper. But on size alone, when you're going in through these, and not necessarily early, but if you've got 3-4 matches, that weighs on you, don't it? When you've got a big man like Nicky Rodriguez
or Max Jimenez, mate. Max Jimenez is like a genuine
proper
giant.
Proper giant, real giant, legit giant. But yeah, my pick, Nicky Rodriguez all day long, run through the field.
Absolutely. I think, but the only thing that would make me change my mind about both of those things is looking at the brackets. Like, depending on where they sit and their potential route through it.
I don't think it matters to Nicky Rod. I think Nicky Rod runs through the field. I think he taps everyone. I think he goes.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think he just slaughters people in that division. I think he's that good.
You do have people like Will Tackett and Adam Bradley
I never heard of that
guy. Who are like, they're not big dudes either. And like, I think Andrew Tackett is
never heard of him.
Is in the under 80s, yeah. So the two brothers, they were the first two to come over, and they've separated into those two divisions. But like, he's a natural kind of mid 80 kilo grappler.
Is he?
And Max Jimenez, Nicky Rod, who else in there? Mason Fowler, like Felipe Andrew, Victor Hugo. They are
never heard of them.
Big boys.
Never heard of him. I never heard of that guy.
Big boys, mate. So they're all rocking in probably at 105, 110, like you said before, maybe even more for some of them, certainly for Max Jimenez. And like elite black belts, but going against Will Tackett. That said, Andrew Tackett did beat Dan Manasoyu on that Who's Number One TV show that they did.
And another big point too is if you're someone like Nicky Rodriguez, who's naturally that size, and you've never got any desire to cut weight at all, you spend your whole time getting stronger and better. So you're even bigger and more physical at that level. Whereas you said, who is it? The Tackett brother, who's William Tackett, who's up at the over 80s. He's spent his whole life in grappling, cutting weight.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not that it's going to have a lasting effect in terms of detrimental, but in terms of he's kept himself smaller, hasn't he? Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas Nicky Rod, who's naturally much bigger anyway, has been building his body. It all plays in. But yeah, I'm going around in circles. Nicky Rod by first round, sub. Give him that milli, baby.
If you won $1 million, what would you do with it?
I wouldn't do this no more.
Let's say you've got, forget tax for a second, you've got $1 million. You've done all the ethical and moral things you want to do. You've sorted out your friends, your family, whatever it is. What's the first thing you do with the money for yourself?
Damn. Well, you said sorting out your friends and family. That ain't happening. That ain't happening.
You've done all the things. All right, what's the first thing you do for yourself?
First thing I do with me... Well, I'm going to give a boring answer here, aren't I? Because I'm going to say, oh, buy a house.
Yeah.
But because $1 million's only $1 million. Not that it's not to be sneered at, but it's only $1 million, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And living in London, for anyone who's outside, that ain't going nowhere.
Exactly.
So by the time you've got tax, you ain't even buying a house. So do you know what I'm saying? Is the reality of it.
It's not retirement money.
No,
So professional sport.
The real answer would be, on a day-to-day, basically carry on doing exactly what I'm doing now.
Fair enough.
And just keep on keeping. I just use it. Yeah, exactly. You'd use it and you'd invest in things, right, and try and turn that $1 million into more money.
It's just that if you say hookers and blokes, it's better for the views.
Hookers and blokes, I'm very religious nowadays, so I don't do that. But yeah, what would you do? By the way, Tom's worth about £60 million anyway. We're in his fucking office building at the top. We're on the 81st floor of your building.
81st floor.
He owns the whole building.
Views of London.
There you go.
Yeah, not just a load of pigeons shooting all over the
So if you see him and you feel like giving him one of them at the back of the head, there you go.
Totally deserved. Yeah, I'd probably do something really boring with it as well, to be honest. But there's got to be something said for saying, I'm going to take a month off and I'm going to go.
Oh yeah, you chill. Don't get me wrong.
Do something mega.
I wouldn't be teaching privates next Tuesday morning. Yeah. Tuesday morning I'd have a lay-in. But let's ask a better question, because millions a bit, you're going to give a boring answer because you can think about it really. I'll give you 100 million. What are you doing now?
Oof, we're talking proper cars, we're talking big houses, we're talking big watches, we're talking yachts. And I would just like to
100 million's going pretty quick.
I'd like to pull up next to Conor McGregor's Lamborghini yacht and flick some fag ash on it and go, ooh, sorry mate.
Yeah, no, but 100 million to Conor McGregor. You picked the wrong guy, because 100 million to Conor McGregor, he's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Huh? Yeah, for sure. He'd hit my yacht.
Yeah, he's like, fuck, what?
How about you? What's the vibe?
100 million?
Yeah.
Oh, God, how long we got here? 100 million?
Yeah.
Well, first thing I would do, you'd sort some people out in your life.
Yeah,
for sure. All that boring shit. I'd buy houses in different places.
Yeah.
And just be fucking...
Just go on holiday forever. That's the answer, really, isn't it?
Here's the thing. My holiday, and you're probably similar to me, is not too different to what I'm living in terms of training and doing what I do day to day now. You just do it in a completely different way, right? You wouldn't do anything around it.
Yeah.
You'd do it in 5-star treatment. You'd have someone driving you everywhere you fucking went. You'd be flying at least first class, wherever you want.
Yeah.
And you'd just be basically living that lifestyle of pro athlete-ish kind of here, there and everywhere. I'd be in England probably a couple of weeks out of every month. Couple of weeks out of every month. But in fairness,
a hot bit in June and that's it.
Well, in legit terms, I'd probably set myself up in a way of 6 weeks on here, training hard, working on specific goals. And for people that don't train and don't do jiu-jitsu, this sounds a bit fucking stupid, but the reality for me, I would have 6 weeks here of hard training, proper nutrition, coaches, people massaging my back, needles wherever I needed needles, all that kind of stuff. And then I'd have a week somewhere else and just do what I wanted to do while I was there. And I'd repeat this cycle.
Exactly.
I'd have 3 or 4 gorgeous women carry my bags for me. No, but you know what I'm saying. I just enjoy myself. I'd just upgrade my life in every sense of the word.
Exactly. And that is 100 million is not a reality for professional grapplers at the moment. No. But for the winners of this tournament, they are flying home first class. Yeah. For the winners of ADCC, they're getting the fucking train.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
And carrying your own bag.
Exactly. That's the reality between those two tournaments. And why it has
the opportunities to come out of this too.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be massive.
To be absolutely transformative for the sport.
Well, the next level for this to me is you're in Vegas, right? Which is a great place and you can meet some cool people in Vegas. But the next level is next time do it in fucking Saudi, man.
Yeah,
do it in Abu Dhabi. Now you're meeting people that can really open doors for you. You know? That's the way I would go with it.
Yeah, for sure.
And try and get on board with the UFC Fight Pass, the whole fucking thing.
Well, that's what will come out of it next time, really, isn't it? If you've got amazing promotions like Polaris on Fight Pass, admittedly, once the CJI kind of, the notice probably wasn't there, but once it kind of smartens itself up a little bit maybe and sort of becomes a little bit more professional, you probably have UFC Fight Pass snapping at the heels of Flow Grappling to stream ADCC. Flow will almost certainly lose ADCC in the future because they're having to pay millions for it, and I don't know whether it would be sustainable. They'll potentially lose it to UFC Fight Pass, and then you'll have the CJI on there as well.
And what happens to ADCC from here? Do you think ADCC survives this or goes away?
I think it survives it, mate. Like when you look at those, those athlete brackets, they are literally the cream of the grappling crop, minus 32 dudes in 2 weight classes. Mm-hmm. They're I can't do the maths. What's 16 times 5? About 80 grapplers in ADCC,
it's all of whom... It's 80, it is 80, yeah.
Is it?
I sat there quietly going, 1, 2, 3. It's 80, yeah.
So there's and they're all huge names. There are people that are not going anywhere. And I think that they'll navigate this, they'll weather the storm, and then they'll make adjustments in 2 years' time that will be competitive with CJI then. It will be much harder, but fundamentally the lessons have been learned. They wanted show money for athletes, that's going to happen. They wanted proper money for the women's divisions to match the men's, that's going to happen. They don't want to share a room with a total fucking stranger on the biggest, most important tournament of their lives.
That's incredible.
That's going to happen. So even if the CJI goes away forever next year, which it might, or comes back even stronger next year, ADCC will maneuver itself into a position where it's able to attract grappling athletes back to it in a meaningful way without compromising on heritage or anything like that. Fundamentally, if Craig can go and get whatever it was, 3 million quid's worth of funding from some mysterious benefactor in the UAE, Abu Dhabi can do that as well. Like the money is endless. The interest is high in that part of the world. It'll just be a case of finding the funding and making the changes, and that will just drive both of those promotions up and beyond. And for us as like participants and spectators, it can only be a good thing.
See, what I could see happening is this CGI really blows up. And where I think ADC's got a bit of a handle on is there's only 2 weight divisions right now.
Yeah.
So they've kind of got the other one, so it's still got some shit. What I could see happening is this really blowing up and the money going absolutely nuts. And in 5 years' time, they're not getting $1 million to win, they're getting 10 million to win.
Right.
And then what could happen from there is people sort of graduate from it, and ADCC doesn't up the money, but it still keeps that prestige of ADCC. Do you know what I'm saying? It's the big, like a historical one, a bit like the Olympics, right? Yeah. You don't get paid for the Olympics, whereas you've got other avenues to do things. This, I think, you could sort of make your money, and now you're set, and now you're going for the ADCC. Yeah, man, so it's even more prestigious in a way. I'm just spitballing ideas.
Man, I'm looking forward to it. It's on the 16th, 17th, and 18th of August. I've had that blocked out.
Is it August? Shit, I'm going to be a year older by that point.
Yeah, I'll be coming up to a year older.
But you look pretty good for your age. You're 54 now, right? What? Why are we laughing? Is it 55?
No, it's not 55.
How old are we?
41.
Don't lie, bullshit. Look at you, 41.
Yeah.
It's 41.
That's why it hurts.
Yep, they get scary as they get older, don't they?
50.
Do you?
Yeah.
You got like them jiu-jitsu knees.
Very creaky, mate.
Oh yeah.
I had about 3 weeks off recently because I was away a little bit and had some bits done. And I went back to training on Wednesday night. Fucking hell, mate. Yesterday I was just in bits, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
But
anyway,
let's get going. But I want to see the purple belt around your waist. I want to see that purple belt around you.
Anytime in the next 5 years.
We're talking about the Euros.
Say again?
Football's not coming home, or it is coming home?
I have no idea, mate. I don't even know when they're playing. Sorry.
Oh wow, you're like a fucking blasphemy. He's Englishman.
I'm that guy. Yeah.
You are that. No, I'm missing the game tomorrow because I'm on a flight, so I'm not going to.
Oh, really? Nice.
But, this will probably come out before the England game. Comment below what you think about our predictions. What you think about Tom being 54 or under, about ADCC, about CGI, CJI. Sorry. CGI, something different, isn't it? CJI, I said it again, did I? Craig Jones Invitational. Tell us who you think is going to win. Shout out to Owen because he's coming home with $1 million. And we're trying to get him on the podcast, but he's big time in me, Mr. Owen. But we'll see how we go. Anything else you want to plug, mate?
All good, man.
All good?
Yeah.
Boom. Thanks for doing this, mate.
Cheers,
Screw the Neck podcast. Boom.
Cheers.